Well, Frederick, thank you for joining Sense Music Media this fine, well, evening for myself. What time of day is it for you over there?
It's 12 o'clock daytime.
All right. So, some solid midday action going on.
Yeah, I went to did some exercise and I went up quick for a quarter to six this morning and played guitar for 2 hours before my daughter wakes up and takes over the place. And then I went to do some exercise so I can have the strength to go out on tour.
All right. So it's,
So,
yeah,
so I have
not
the
just,
strength to drink beer.
well, I mean, look, as any good Aussie would say, then that's definitely the best form of exercise. The guitar exercise is definitely the next best, in my opinion. And then, yeah, I guess you got the rest of the body to worry about as well. So some regular exercise is probably not a bad idea as well.
Yeah, heavy metal gives and heavy metal takes.
Got to stay match fit.
Yeah, well,
So,
yeah,
to varying degrees. But other than
exactly.
your strict exercise regimen, yeah, we've got you today to talk about your band, OPETH, and the record that you guys are about to release, I believe, in still a month or so.
Yeah, something like that.
So, what
Yeah,
can you
it's
tell us about the record?
Well, you probably read a lot about it. Have you listened to the album in its entirety? Or
Unfortunately, not in its entirety. I got through about half of it today
all
in lead
right,
up to this interview, but I am very keenly awaiting the time to crank through the rest of it because so far it's sounding very mint,
nice to
which is
hear.
good.
Yeah, well, it's a new album. It has been quite some time, partly due to the pandemic, of course, and also after the pandemic was done, we had more obligations to do in for the previous album to tour for In Cauda Venenum, and the way Michael works when he's writing is that it needs to be done with the album cycle from the album before we can go into a continuation, a new era of Opeth or a new album. Anyhow, it's a concept album, and it has all the titles are named as paragraphs because it's a reading of a will and testament from this patriarch, sinister kind of conservative, super rich man that takes place in the 1920s after the World War One, decadent times, and it's about his his children basically who's getting this will read to them. But it's not just a will; it's more like stories, sidelines, lots of things gets revealed, and the seven paragraphs on the album, seven songs, and then the last track actually has a title which is called "A Story Never Told,"
Hmm.
which is kind of where the concept and the story takes a bit of a different turn, a bit of a surprise at the end, kind of thing. Which is "A Story Never Told" is about a letter that
Hmm.
this one of his daughter receives that reveals something way later. I guess, I mean, people are interested, they can dig deeper into the concept and the story. I can't really tell everything now because that will, yeah, my jaw will probably drop or something.
Well, it's sounding like with the epic, almost cinematic scope of what you're trying to lay out on the album, like
Yeah,
some
I mean,
serious like M Night Shyamalan plot twists coming up and stuff. And yeah, you don't want to spoil it for the people before they get a
no, I
chance to
mean,
listen to it and discover it for themselves.
yeah, I mean, I enjoyed when I was younger, Queensryche, Operation Mindcrime album, and apparently the King Diamond stuff, Abigail and them, and stuff like that. But it's also when we've talked about the music, we have a new drummer on the album, Walter
Hmm.
Verinen, who has been working fantastic with us. We did 3 tours with him before we started recording, which was great. So we could bond, and but he's very ambitious and great, and he really got a challenge with this album with the drum parts, and he just nailed it. And so that's been something different. I think the songs are different, and also since it's a lot of the vocals on the album are the voice of this patriarch father.
Mm-hmm.
There was definitely room to bring the growls back. So because the father has different voice, yeah, Michael's clean voice, and he also has a more theatrical voice, as you might notice in a couple of songs. Paragraph 1, the first single that you might have heard, a bit more. I can't really do it, but you know,
a real timbre.
Yeah, that's kind of something we haven't done before, and I would say song structure-wise, I think they are more restless, more intense, more compressed.
Mm-hmm.
But not with less ingredients.
Yeah, if you listen to Black, I was going to say I wouldn't imagine that from an OPETH record, because essentially, yeah, the diverse range of sounds and things that you bring into your music, it'd almost be a disservice to what you guys do for there not to be newer elements thrown in on top with every successive and new release that you do.
Yeah, I mean, there's always a goal to make every album different from one each other. But this time, I think there's a lot of talk of apparently that the growls are back. A lot of old school fans are happy with that, and myself included. But I know how Michael works. I would shove that whole thing down his throat. Oh man, you got to growl, blah blah blah. He would do the opposite. But this time around, it kind of came from him. We had talks about it after some of the live shows we've done. And I could tell that he enjoyed it more again. It's been with us all this time. But
I thought you were going to start telling me a story about how over the last several years you've been working on this extreme reverse psychology campaign on him. And it's like, you know what would be nice if we went even cleaner?
A little bit like that. I mean, I've been playing in the band for more than 17 years now. So I know how he works. So like, I'm so tired of hearing that growl. Can't we just play? No, but I think that voice, I mean, we all get older. It also developed. He's always been a fantastic lead singer, but his clean voice and growl, it's a bit schizophrenic, I guess. But the growls are even more guttural now in a way, I think. More depth, perhaps. Like an old bottle of wine that has matured a bit or something.
Sounds absolutely awesome. And likewise, yeah, his voice on the record sounds absolutely awesome. So yeah, with again such a strong concept in the album, and not just sort of the run-of-mill story. I know you've said that you already personally enjoy albums that have had these like strong themes through them before, thematic albums. And how does that sort of translate for you when Michael comes to you with this grandiose plan for what the album's going to be? Do you buy like wholly into what they're trying to achieve with the concept? Are you kind of more just, all right, righto, that's cool, I just want to play the sick riffs?
Yeah. I mean, it's inspiring, and it got extra inspiring when I found out that Ian Anderson was going to be on the album to more or less impersonate the father doing these narrations that he does. And then it, for me, had more depth and took it to another level in a way. And of course, I thought about it, but when you're in the song learning the riffs, and for me, I worked quite a lot on the solos on my own this time. So I recorded the solos in my home studio. Usually I'll go down in the demo presses to Michael's place and kind of improvise a few takes. But this time around, I put way more thought into like guitar solos. I try to treat them like small compositions within the song, and try to come up with solos that are different from one each other for every song, and has a different kind of a color or something like that. Maybe that had something to do with the concept also, in some subconscious kind of way. But I wasn't really thinking about the story when I learned the riffs. I wouldn't say, but it was inspiring, definitely, because we haven't done that since well, I guess Goes to Reveries was an attempt for a concept album, but the one that was a concept album was still live so far, and My Arms, You're Hers, right?
Mhm.
So it also inspired me that I saw that Michael was inspired. That he was, he got really obsessed with his story and the way he works. When he gets the fire going, he's very efficient, and he writes he's very disciplined when he works, and he throws away lots of beautiful music. I have embryos of stuff that lying around. Eventually never will be a song, but he's very good at it. Could be amazing, but he's just delete, gone forever.
Just plagiarize it for one of your own bands.
Yeah. So
sneaky key shift or something, add an extra beat.
Exactly. But overall, it was inspiring. The everything about it. It was a bit of a fuel for everyone, I think, especially Michael. He could use this concept also to bring in different voices. It was a natural place for the growl, natural place for his more theatrical, clean voice, and bring in guest musicians like Joey Tempest on one track, for instance, which also personates the father is talking during that track, and Ian Anderson, not to say the least,
Yeah, how did do you know how Ian Anderson became involved in the project? Because he's most well known for his work with obviously Jethro Tull. So I definitely can understand the prog angle of him coming in on a project with Opeth. And never crossed my mind to associate him at all with anything, death or particularly heavy.
Yeah, I mean, if you listen to paragraph 1, he is almost like semi-growling when he's doing these call and response kind of things with Michael. Raped in death, which is awesome. But no, I mean, he was asked to play flute on the Heritage album, but he didn't reply. And over the years, somehow Michael got contact with his son, James, who is also his manager. And I think he was the guy, he saw an interview with Michael that he was like, we tried to get Ian on this album, Heritage, way back, but he didn't respond. Silly wanker or something like that. All in tongue in cheek. And I think James saw that, and then, if this band asks you something, I recommend you to do it. Mm-hmm. And then Mike found out about that, and he's like, of course, got super inspired about that. And initially it's going to be in one track, but it developed that he's talking on several tracks. But he also plays the flute on 2 tracks. He plays a flute solo before I do a guitar solo on paragraph 4, and also paragraph 7, the second last track, is in there. But that wasn't really planned. That was something actually that Ian, do you want some flute on the album as well?
Yes. I wasn't going to ask, but
exactly. Which you have to pinch your arm because, that doesn't happen every day. So there wasn't really a section for his flute, but luckily enough, there was a section in paragraph 4 that worked out really well.
Yeah. And Opeth being Opeth, I'm sure if he really wanted to, you could make a section within a section within a section. You could have done whatever you wanted and needed to do to get that man on the record.
I like that. With section within a section.
And so you mentioned, like a flute solo going into a guitar solo. Did you have the flute solo recorded first? Because as you said, you mentioned like doing a lot of work on your solos. Did it cause you to go back and do anything to change the solo based off what he'd done on the flute? Was there any like cross-play on that?
Actually, good question. I didn't know when I did the solo that he's going to play flute on that solo. But it kind of worked well. I didn't have to go back and change anything. At least we thought so. I mean, it's 2 different sections and there's a build-up. So, yeah, I mean, it's up to you to decide, but we thought it worked fine as it was.
Yeah, maybe he ripped off your writing.
Yeah, maybe he did. No, I wouldn't say so, but they're quite different. Mine, it's kind of aggressive solo, but very long notes. crying kind of notes with a shreddy ending, and this is more of a bluesy type of solo in a more less intense part, I would say. But it works pretty cool, and he's an amazing player, of course, you know.
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah, definitely you're gonna have to go back and pay extra attention to that part of the song. So yeah, the album is in the can, it's ready to be released. Usually what will then follow, and you've alluded also to what you've done in the past towards the start of the interview, is then take the show on the road and head off on a tour. Have you already started discussing or even planning any touring for the album?
Oh yeah, I mean, we start now in America, North America, on the 11th of October. So
All
we're
right,
just
that's
about
pretty much
to.
the release date, isn't
Yeah,
it?
exactly. Yeah, yeah. So
All right.
we right now
Ground
we're
running.
preparing rehearsals and gear. It's a lot of stuff with guitar amps and new rigs, and so and we're doing a European tour in February, and then we're looking at, apparently there will be festivals in the summer and maybe something else before that, but it's not official. But we're also looking into Australia
Now that's
and
what I
New
was looking
Zealand.
to hear.
Yeah, which is I don't want to make fake promises, but it's most likely happening next year, but not this year. But yeah,
Well, there's not much of this year left, and it sounds like
but I
you're already,
mean,
very much booked and busy for the remainder.
yeah, exactly. We only do the US run for 3 weeks, and then we have a break before doing the European run, Northern European and UK and Scandinavia in February. We don't do more than 3 weeks touring these days, which is probably healthy for the longevity of the band.
Yeah, pace yourself and give you a bit of time to exercise before the next run.
Yeah, exactly. You destroy yourself, and then you're back to square one. Have to rebuild again, same procedure as last time. No, but no, it's been a while since it came to Australia, and we always love it. Play there, it's always great shows, fantastic country to be in. So much stuff to see. So we're very keen coming back, and yeah, it will definitely happen.
Yeah, awesome. And we're very keen to have you whenever you're, repaired and ready and willing to do so.
Yeah.
I might be getting a bit ahead of things then with the Australian tour, a bit further down the track. But have you thought of potential supports of who you'd like to share the stage with, or even sans Australia? Because I'd always love bringing up and talking about Australian music whenever I can. Any like tour mates of the tours you do sort of have lined up so far that you're really keen to play with, whether they're old friends or new bands that are getting you hyped?
Yeah, I mean, the two tours that are official now that I can talk about is first the US one, and then we're bringing out our friends, Swedish friends, Tribulation, who's going to open up for us. And I mean, our label, they wanted to have a lot of other bands that we didn't know about, that they know more about the market and the ticket sales and all that. But we were kind of stubborn. No, we want these guys. One of those guys is actually a carpenter, and he's working on one of Mike's house, one of his balconies.
Sick.
So he's got a better deal.
That's a hookup.
That's why. No, they're a cool band and everything. So they're happy to do it. And for the European run, we're bringing out some really good old friends. Grand Magus, Swedish band. They're Viking, straightforward kind of metal band, Viking metal type stuff. So we like the fact that bands are different, not the band that are similar to Opeth. I also kind of like that it's a bit of variation between the bands, the two bands.
Yeah, I always love when I personally go to a show. Look, honestly, even if it's a band that I love, like a band that I've been frothing over like my entire life, if they play like any more than an hour, like I'm mostly going to be tuning out. And if all the bands leading up to them are all in the same vein, then it's just like it's already like wearing on me. I love just having little hits of things different just to keep piquing the interest and draw your attention. So I'm all about what you're saying there and what you guys want to do as well. People are already coming to the show because they love Opeth. They don't need to hear 2-3 bands that sound like, even though your sound itself is so obviously varied and wide ranged anyway. But again, they don't need to see Opeth clones. Give them something else.
Yeah, I mean, also we like the fact that only have one more band on the bill, because we know people, since our songs are so long, we need to play it 2 hours. Otherwise, the people who enjoy us as a band, they will be disappointed, and it's important to give them what they want. And if there would be, like when we did co-headline tour with Mastodon in the US, we had 1 hour and 15 minutes each. It was a great tour, and they're fantastic guys, but we could read that some fans wanted to see a longer show, apparently.
Mm-hmm.
Even though it's a very strong package, and there was another band as well. So I mean, yeah. So for us, I think it's great to stick with just having one band as an opener.
Yeah, run a type shit and then give the people what they want.
Yeah, I hope so. Definitely.
And I guess, I mean, retracting somewhat what I just said about a band going longer than an hour, I guess, yeah, if you are going in for an Opeth concert for the full proggy experience, then yeah, you probably know you are going to be there for the long haul. And if it gets a bit much, you can always just sneak over to the bar and have a beer and come back, and you guys will still be tearing it up.
Yeah, you might miss something. But it also depends on how much Michael talks between the songs, because that's never rehearsed, and sometimes he gets carried away. Like our tour manager, he's been talking for 10 minutes. I might be exaggerating a little bit there, but yeah.
Yeah, but still, rein it in, mate.
Yeah. Well, sometimes it's really funny, actually. So I think that's a part of the show as well.
Opeth plus stand up.
Exactly, a little bit like that.
All right. Well, we've only got a couple of minutes left to chat. So I just want to go out on a bit of left of center question, topic of conversation, if you will. The Olympic Games have happened recently with Gojira being represented in France, and basically sticking metal into the faces of a lot of people around the world that probably haven't experienced metal or anything like that before. Yeah, here in Australia, I think we're down for not the next games, but the game after that. And I'm wondering if we can, help keep this metal at the Olympic things happening. I know Sweden hasn't hosted an Olympics for quite some time, but if you did have an Olympics in your country, would you guys be keen to get up and represent?
I think that would be really cool, actually. I mean, it's hard to top with Gojira, so I saw a snippet of it. It looked pretty powerful, standing in this castle and fires and, Marie Antoinette and all that stuff. But I mean, I think it's a cool idea. If you could stand in the Royal Castle in Stockholm and playing some blazing metal would be fun.
Yeah, sick. All right, so what we really need to do is start the campaign. Let's get the Olympics happening back in Sweden. Let's get Opeth tearing it up for the world.
Yeah, love that.
Well, Fredrik, it's been awesome chatting with you. For me this evening, for you this afternoon. Hopefully we get a chance to check in again, perhaps closer to and when you've announced a tour here in Australia. And otherwise, get out there, kick some ass, prog it up, and all the best with the new album.
Thanks for talking to me, and have a nice one.
All right, take care, brother.
Take care.